Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new video here on the channel. Today I'm going to do something a little different with the Avengers. I'm going to be covering the top 5 things that you should know while playing the Avengers. Hopefully this video will help you. If it does, or it's enjoyable, go ahead and press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into the video. Alright, so you'll definitely want to make yourself familiar with the faction coordinators, and in this case, on the helicarrier we have the shield one, where you can pick up these extra missions which will give you resources and whatnot, also extra boss missions. The boss missions are very important because they give you a key. Let me just go to that key here. So they give you these DNA keys. These are needed to loot specific chests that you have to have the keys for and you cannot unlock otherwise. And these chests are definitely worth it. So make sure that you're going to the Shield faction coordinator. Also make sure you jump over to the anthill and talk to Sarah, who's the Inhuman Alliance faction coordinator, and pick up all of those quests as well. They reset daily, so before you play, before you do any missions each day, I suggest picking those up. You'll find these chests right here, which is what you'll need those keys for. They're blue, and if you don't have the key, you're kind of out of luck. You can't open them. So definitely make sure you have those keys. Another benefit of these, and probably the second best benefit, is that you'll get access to more gear to buy depending on your rank, and as you rank up you'll also get resources, including units, which is pretty nice to have. So definitely make sure that you're doing your faction quests. And yeah, let's move on to the next. Alright, so for leveling up your characters, not to be confused with power, but the actual levels, your best way to do this is going to be the harm missions, which you can select from the helicarrier, always in the helicarrier selection. Doing these harm challenges is going to be the quickest way to level because there's relatively no moving around. You don't have to explore, etc. You get enemies right away. And as you go through and kill said enemies, you're going to get experience. The other cool thing is that this will actually work with some of the Alliance faction or the faction quests, because you'll get different creatures spawning. You don't really get the drops per se, but any kill missions, any experience missions, etc., this will help with. So if you're looking to level up your characters fast, load up that character and get on in here. However, it will not really raise your power level. I mean, you may get some rewards here and there, but next we'll show you the best way to raise your power level. Alright, so next up, do you want more skins for your characters? Do you want more emotes, nameplates, resources? Then you're going to want to check your challenge card. So in the challenge cards, as you go through, you'll unlock different things, and unlocking them is pretty simple. You have daily and weekly tasks, and the daily ones refresh every day. The weekly ones refresh once a week. The daily ones are typically worth 3 points, while the weekly ones are worth 11 points. And it doesn't take a lot of points. It only takes 200 to max this out. So you can get up there as long as you're playing daily. So the challenges are character specific. For example, I have defeat enemies affected by rally cry, taunt 3 enemies or more with single move, and my weekly ones are counter or parry melee attacks and defeat enemies with the thrown shield attack. And as you go through, You'll unlock plenty of skins, resources that you may need, emotes even. I mean, it's definitely worth it to check this out. And you can do this while you're going through the campaign. So I do suggest doing this daily. There's also a resource that you can use to upgrade for free. It's these gears, and if you don't have enough and you just have to have the stuff, you can buy these on the PlayStation Store or whatever store you're playing through. I don't think it's really necessary to buy some. I would just suggest following these every day. Alright, so you want to boost your power level. You want to know the best way to boost your power level. Well, here it is. Firstly, the first step you want to do is make sure that you always have the highest level gear equipped that you have. Don't worry about upgrading it. The only exception to that is if you need more power to continue your story or unlock new missions, you can upgrade for those circumstances, but generally you don't want to upgrade them at all. You just continue throwing on better gear. The next step is to go into any mission, and it doesn't matter what difficulty. So if you want to make it easier, quicker, just go to challenge 1. That's going to be the easiest one. I like doing vault missions because they typically have a lot of what we're looking for. Alright, so we're in the mission, and what I did is I went ahead and scrapped all my extra gear, so I don't have any extra gear at all. So once we're in the mission, you want to use your ability to locate stuff and do every extra that there is as far as chests or enemies. You don't have to do the rescue missions. They're not going to give you that much, but any chest or any kind of extraordinary enemy. So now we see we have a couple things. I'm just going to run past these guys because killing doesn't really get you that much gear. I mean, every once in a while you may get something dropped, but in this case it's not worth it. Our focus here is to simply go after the chests. Alright, so I've rushed my way here. Haven't really killed any enemies with the exception of a couple turrets, and got that chest. Now my next move is to simply move on to the next, which could be over here. Sometimes they're a little tricky. Yeah, no. So we're gonna go through here. Again, avoiding these enemies because they're not worth my time. Every once in a while there's a chest over there. I don't see it now. So there's another chest location over here. Something to keep in mind is that some of these chests will have puzzles, etc. to open. Some of them won't require anything, like this one. So we've gone there. Now we need to go up there. And I believe this one will have a puzzle. And it can vary. Yeah, so this one is the punch generators, as I like to call them. So essentially, we're just going to go and do this puzzle, skipping everything. And it's really simple. You just hit, in this case, 4 of these, 2 on each side. Go over here. And once you have all the ones required, you'll get that nice little green icon. And now we can just go in and get the chests. Right, and one thing I did want to mention is not all characters are created equal. Some characters cannot break these doors. You have to have either Hulk or Miss Marvel, I think, to break the doors. You can probably do so with Tony Stark, so long as you have his ultimate available. but there are some chests that you're just not going to be able to get depending on the character you are. And in this case, well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get that. But I will get this one. And then I will be back out of here. When you have an elite aim unit, you do want to destroy those, because it's a guaranteed drop. Maybe not necessarily something good, but it is a guaranteed drop. So definitely take the time, destroy them if you can, without dying. Sometimes I can, sometimes I cannot. It depends on the character and how difficult it is. But since this is on an easy difficulty, typically not too bad. Alright, and there is his gear dropped. Once you are satisfied that you've gotten all the extra loot, go ahead and open the vault and complete the mission. And once you've gone through and you've completed all the vault, there's typically 2 to 3 chests in here that you can pick up as well. And then I'll just show you. So going through this mission, this is all the gear that I've acquired. And remember, we emptied this before we started the mission. So we're at power level 59, and I'm just going to auto upgrade. And now we're at power level 60. And so all we have to do is keep doing that type of mission to get through our gear crunch. And that's about it. It's going to be the fastest way to level up. Something that I didn't do because I wanted to show you all the gear and whatnot is as soon as you get some gear, you should try equipping it if it's better. Because regardless of where you start or where you end, gear is always going to drop based on your gear level currently equipped. So when you open that chest, if you have gear level 50 stuff, you're going to get between, I would say, 45 and 55. And vice versa, if you have a 55 equipped, gear that's going to drop is going to be 50 to 60. So you always want to upgrade as soon as you get the gear before looting anything else. But again, just run through these missions. It doesn't have to be a vault mission, it can be any mission, and specifically go after the chests. Alright, the last thing I want to talk about is how to make missions a little bit easier for you, and that's patience. Every thing that you do in this game, or every enemy that comes by, at least in missions, is triggered by a certain spawn trigger. So in the example of here, in the vault, once we've already gone through and unlocked the part where we have to stand here, standing on this will trigger. So what you want to do is get off of it as soon as they spawn. And when you do so, you're going to be left with just the enemies that spawned, and no more are going to spawn. So we can defeat these. Okay, now they're defeated. So we go back on here. And after a certain amount of time, we'll trigger the second spawn. Depending on what mission you're doing or what the trigger is, it can vary. For example, when you're beating the generators, once you get about halfway through a generator's health, it will typically spawn more enemies. So it doesn't really pay to try to rush to finish your objective. If you do that, you're going to be bombarded with a lot of enemies, and sometimes that can be detrimental. You can end up taking more hits, you can end up failing. It's just not good. So it's better to definitely exercise a little bit of patience and kill the enemies as they come. In this case, we'll go get a healing because I'm real low, and then we'll go back on here and spawn more. Patience, patience. Okay, here they go. So now they've spawned more. And then after this, after we defeat this wave of enemies, I should be able to stay on that pad and there should be no more enemies spawning. So the rest of it's clear. I don't have to worry about any of that. Depending on what difficulty you're playing on though, you can get different things happening. Like for example, in the vaults, if you're playing on a challenge rating 2 or higher, you'll get hackers that'll spawn in during the waves that you have to stop, and stuff like that. So I think we defeated all of them, and I'm stuck apparently. There we go. Okay. But now I should be able to sit here patiently and be able to finish this portion of it with no problem at all, because there won't be any more enemies spawning until I initiate the next trigger, which will be the code authorization sequence. Alright, and now that that's done, enemies have spawned in. We can wipe all of these out, and if we do so within the timed section, we'll see here too that nothing will spawn until I go activate the next trigger, which is standing on one of the code entries. If I have enough time. Okay, yeah, no, I think we... Well, okay. Now, we've defeated all the enemies. And once I go to this code entry, and I stand on it, about midway... No, I guess all the way. Now enemies should start spawning in. Yep, there they go. So it's all based on triggers. If you learn those triggers, you can make things a lot easier for you. So I would definitely recommend doing so. Like I said, having a little patience. Like in this case, I haven't cleared all those enemies, and now more are going to spawn in. But that's okay, I can handle it. But if I didn't want to, I wouldn't have to, and it could make the game a lot easier for you. So the choice is totally up to you, but know it's a thing and use it to your advantage. Alright, so a few things I wanted to kind of mention as a bonus. If you haven't seen my other videos, doing your chain objectives, for example, your iconic chain missions, isn't really necessary until after you have completed the campaign. Once you've completed the campaign, then start working on your objectives. The other thing I want to mention is about the vault objectives. When you're going through the table, selecting your missions, there's actually 2 tables you can access by clicking, I believe, R1 and L1. It may be R2 and L2. But essentially, you have the campaign map, and then you have the after campaign map. In order to get the vault line, you have to complete certain things. For example, you have to locate a loot shield cache located in one of the campaign maps, which is in the Stark Realities mission. So just know that you can switch between those, especially if you don't have any missions in the after campaign that you really want to do or that you need to do. You can switch over to the campaign map and vice versa. Also, when it comes to gear, I wouldn't worry too much about buying gear. At least not until you've maxed out your character. The max cap is going to be level 130 for gear, and that is before you upgrade any of it. So that's the soft cap. The hard cap is going to be 150 after you've upgraded everything. And speaking of which, there's obviously different resources that you can have, and I'll just briefly go over them. So fragments is your typical money. That's just your money. The upgrade modules are a little rarer, and you'll want to save those. However, if you don't have money and you need some for some reason, you can spend the upgrade modules at a store for fragments. But I don't recommend doing so because you'll need a lot of these once you reach that 130. These four are the different components needed to upgrade your normal gear. You'll get plenty of those. You can also buy them for fragments in the store. Okay, the Polychoron and the Uru, these are specific to high-level gear and Norn stones. So the Polychoron is what you're going to use to upgrade your Norn stones. And really, all you have to do is get them to level 3 to unlock all of the abilities, but you can upgrade them once you get your max gear level as well. Now, Uru is going to be for upgrading your other artifacts, so you'll definitely want to have some of that. And then lastly, the DNA key that we mentioned earlier, which is for the lockboxes for the shield loots that you need those keys for. Definitely try to get those. And that's all I can think of for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to try to answer those. I may not have all the answers, but I'll see what I can do. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.